big welcome to In Conservation, the podcast of the Wildlife Trust for Beds, Cambs and Northants. My name is Sophie Baker. I'm the editor of our members magazine Local Wildlife and your host as we explore the work and the people of your local wildlife trust. I'm very excited to share this new episode with you. It's all about our busy beavers in the Nene Wetlands. It's been over a year since we reintroduced these industrious rodents to Delta Pit, an enclosure right next to Rushton Lakes, which sees millions of people visiting to do their shopping each year. And boy, have they been busy. The beavers, that is. I chatted to Pete Bray and Ben Casey, from the water and from the land, to find out about the beaver work that's gone on and what impact it's having on this nature reserve in the middle of the Nene Valley Special Protection Area. If you'd like to support our work reintroducing species and protecting amazing places like the Nene Wetlands, please do visit wildlifebcn.org/Wilder Future Fund to donate. Every penny goes towards our work and makes a difference in your local area. Now, onto the water. This is very exciting. It's all of a sudden very sunny here, and it's been absolutely boshing it down with rain at some points today.
Yeah, it has.
Like that? Am I in your way? You okay?
No, we're all good. Just getting comfortable.
Just getting comfortable on this amazing little punt-type boat.
Yeah, there are lots of mysteries at Nene Wetlands, and one of which is where the punt came from. I assume it's somebody nicked it from Cambridge at some point. I can't imagine where else it would have came from, why we would have one. I don't know, but there you go.
Yeah, and we're off out into the middle of Delta Pit.
That's right.
Which is very exciting. Have you done this before?
No, never. So you're in safe hands. No, we haven't, and we've been meaning to be honest. One of the things that the Beaver Trust said was it'd be good to just do some lake edge surveys. And I haven't got a piece of paper. I'm not going to be counting anything, but just a sort of qualitative survey to have a look at what's going on, what they've done around the lake edge, because obviously they spend a lot of their time in and around the water, maximum sort of 30 metres away from the water, really. So lots of that activity is focused on the lake edge. So we're just coming out to have a look, really.
Yeah.
It's the plan.
Yeah, and just to be clear, in case it wasn't clear, it's the beavers. So Delta Pit is where the beavers are at the Nene Wetlands.
That's it.
And there's been lots of activity around the shoreline, which we'll chat later to our colleague Ben about as well. But yeah, so looking from the water to see what we can see, really. So are there parts of the shoreline that you just can't get to from land? Is that the idea?
That's right,
really?
yeah. So I guess there's two things. One is that it's tricky to get to certain bits of it because there's scrub in the way or there's no real path through the area. And the other is we can see it differently from the water. So we're getting that kind of opposite side view. And some of that we can see from the opposite bank, obviously, but some of it we can't because it's got quite a wavy edge and some of it's round corners and so on. So some of what we'll be looking at we've never really seen.
No.
So yeah, it should be quite interesting.
Yeah, and they have made a lot of adjustments, haven't they? I mean, they've been here over a year now, and they've been busy.
Yes.
To coin a term of the busy beaver.
That's right, yeah.
And there seem to be, at first glance to me, a lot of trees felled into the water on the edges here. Is that fair to say that that's beaver work?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. We're just going past a willow at the moment that's obviously been knocked into the water at some point. This one looks like, you can see the kind of butt of the tree there.
Oh, yeah.
It looks like that one's actually fallen in the water, but you can certainly see beaver activity down it along the stems. They've munched off lots of the material there. Yeah. And one of the things that they do quite a bit of is that bark stripping. So, yeah, you can see that they've stripped quite a lot of the bark off that, which probably won't kill that. Oh, yeah, some moorhen chicks there.
Moorhen chicks. I always think moorhen chicks are one of my favourite things because they've got those little monk heads and they're so adorable.
Yeah, that's
adorably ugly. Sorry, they were just running along the shoreline thinking, who's this and what's going on? But yeah, so they've stripped the bark that's kind of leaning over the water as well.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think, obviously that's a food source for them in an area where they feel safe, so they feel quite safe around that water's edge, which is
and
what
also, the tree is growing, so the tree is not dead.
Not at all. I mean, yeah, it's really tricky to kill willow trees. Yeah, they're incredibly resilient.
Sounds like you're speaking from experience. Sorry.
Absolutely, yeah, we
Bits of
do.
experience.
We do quite a bit of kind of clearing of willow and stuff around lake edges. The reed bed that we can see just over the back there, that was cleared by hand by people with chainsaws.
Wow.
It cost us several £1,000s, so it's relatively expensive, but it's created a wonderful habitat. The beavers are now doing that for free by felling these trees along the edge. They're softening that lake edge so that we don't just have water, tall trees. We've got water, reeds, shorter trees, taller trees, and we've got that lovely structural diversity.
Yeah, and I bet
important.
the branches in the water probably gather sediment and stuff as well, don't they? Or like,
They do.
change the structure on the
Yeah.
bed of the lake as well.
Absolutely, yeah, and the leaf drop will create enrichment as well. So yeah, that's definitely changing the dynamic of that lake edge. One thing I will mention as well while we're here, can you see the concrete stakes?
Yeah, the
just
big
here?
concrete, slabs they look like.
So there's a kind of an interesting story behind them. So one of the local nicknames for this lake is Slab Lake because of these slabs here. And the story goes that there was a concrete company in Rushden that built these slabs that were due to go down to London to be used in a construction project to build a block of flats. And I'm not sure whether they ended up in London, but they certainly ended up in the lake here. Why, I don't know. But interestingly, the first night when the beavers arrived, we're not far from where they were released up in the northeast corner. The first night when they arrived, they found a way into these slabs and spent their first night under these slabs. So I kind of like, there's a sort of an interesting thing there that these were designed to house people. And actually on the first night that the beavers arrived, that's the house that they chose. It's a lovely little kind of snapshot of the interesting relationship we've got here, the beavers and the people.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's quite a nice little story.
Didn't you hand build them a beautiful house to sleep in on their first night? Were you offended?
Didn't. So I mean, I'm claiming credit here that it wasn't me, and that's why they didn't sleep in. So Ben and Gav did, yeah, and I'm sure they did a wonderful job. But yeah, they went, nah, that's nothing like, and they chose the thing that's most like a human house, which just goes to show that you can read all the books, but actually they're going to do what they want to do.
Yeah. There's no accounting for taste.
That's right.
Yeah, there's more of those blocks there as well.
That's right, yeah. I think it was actually the one just on the end here that they ended up underneath. Yeah. So yeah, there's obviously, because they're not sat flat, they're kind of in a big kind of messy pile. They're obviously dumped out the back of a dumper truck at some point. There's lots of gaps in between, and they obviously found one of those gaps and decided, well, this is good enough for the first night.
And we're just going past a viewing point.
That's right, yeah. So that's out on the greenway on the eastern side.
Oh dear.
I've lost your hat.
That's my hat. Oh dear. Where was that?
It landed the right way up.
It did though, didn't it?
Can you grab it?
Yeah. Got it.
Good stuff.
Thank you. Well spotted. Sorry about that. It wasn't in the health and safety documents, was it? Stray hats.
So that's the viewing platform on the greenway, which is on the eastern side of Delta Pit. So if you go around the back of the shopping centre on the path that leads all the way up to Stanwick Lakes and eventually up to Thrapston, there's a viewing platform there, and that's the one that people have had most success in viewing the beavers. Yeah. What they tend to do around dusk is come out and do a bit of a kind of a loop of the lake to check everything's as they left it the night before. Yeah. So that's a really good spot for viewing them because it's so close to the lake edge.
Yeah, it really is right on the lake edge.
That's it.
Yeah, which shows they don't really mind humans being around. I mean, there's quite a lot of their enclosure that runs very close up to human activity, isn't it?
Yeah,
really?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean so where people can stand there is less than 2 meters from the lake edge. Yeah. Certain places there's a lot more land, particularly on the northern edge. But yeah, quite clearly they weren't particularly bothered about sleeping right next to the path. Certainly there'll be people walking their dogs and so on. Obviously they need to be a certain distance away, and if it was just open to the public there would be a lot of disturbance. Yeah. But actually with having that fence there, it means that they can decide how close they want to come and where they want to go.
Yeah. So what else are you looking for then on this lake edge?
So at the moment, we're about a year in now, just over a year. So we're not going to see any real dramatic change from a year ago. What we're going to be seeing is fallen trees. In time, what I would expect is for more of those fallen trees and for more of that reed bed to be to be jutting out from the water's edge as well. So we're just going past another willow here that they've felled. There was another sort of hive of activity in this area here.
Okay.
Again, you can see there's not many leaves on that underside there, and on this particular area here, there's more leaves higher up. So they're obviously coming and harvesting some of those leaves and eating those leaves.
Yes. So do they prefer to do that? Do they prefer to harvest from the water, basically?
Absolutely.
Is that why they fell them into the water?
Yeah, so they feel much safer in the water. I imagine Ben's going to take you to go and look at some of the canals. The reason they've dug those, well, one of the reasons they've dug those canals is that they feel safer in water, so they can travel through those canals and they can duck down if they need to, if they feel worried about a predator. But yeah, certainly they'd be much happier feeding in the water where they can swim quite quickly away if there's a problem, rather than on land, because they can move relatively quickly on land, but not as fast as they can swim.
Yeah. And wasn't that, I heard a great story, that working in the trust, you do hear stories sort of filter through about when the lake froze over and everyone thought that it was going to be a really good opportunity to see the beavers.
Right.
But it turns out they just go underneath the ice and eat the foliage from underneath.
Yeah, they're pretty good at swimming. They're pretty good at holding their breath. They've been doing it for millions of years, so they are pretty. And of course, they've been doing it in winter when lakes freeze and stuff. I've not actually heard that story myself before, but that does make sense that people might think, oh, what's going to happen here? Maybe they'll go ice skating.
Yeah,
but
maybe we'll see some beaver footprints. There'll be some lovely photo opportunities. But
they weren't too bothered by it.
They know what they're doing. But yeah, you're right. There's not a lot of leaves at kind of the waterline, even though those trees are very clearly very alive.
That's right. Yeah, this weeping willow here. I mean, yeah, the ducks and the geese might be having a munch of some of these leaves as well. But you can see this weeping willow. It's got that sort of classic browse line that you'd see in like a deer park.
Yeah.
And that's because that's the level that ducks and geese and also probably the beavers can reach.
Yeah. Do they climb trees to get at the leaves?
When they first were introduced, people asked me that, and I said no, because why would they fell trees if they could climb them? But actually, we've seen them climbing up, certainly up kind of diagonally, sort of leaning trees. The straight up trees, I don't think they would. They weigh probably 25 kilos. They've got pretty small paws. They're not built like a squirrel. But certainly if it's over on an angle, they will go out and they'll eat some of that epicormic growth, so the very thin shoots of growth that come out of the trees. They'll eat some of those branches that are up at the top. I would say they do climb trees. Now I've learned something from them doing it.
And that's the joy of a project like this, isn't it?
Absolutely.
I mean, it's been a really long time. I think the figure has been revised, certainly within our trust, semi-officially to sort of 800 or 900 years since beavers were around in these parts, even though the last recorded ones, I think, were 400 years ago, but they were in Scotland. So the thinking goes that this far south, they probably didn't exist until at that time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we just don't really know, I suppose. It's been that long since although I suppose there are North American beavers and things to kind of to learn from. I'm just watching these herons.
That's right, yeah. I think they're just paying attention to us now, so I'm going to move away.
Yeah.
So there is a heronry over there. It was, it certainly used to be Northamptonshire's largest heronry, probably still is. There's a good number of heron nests in there, and little egret nests and cormorants.
Were those swifts?
Yes, yeah.
Are they back?
Yeah, absolutely.
My first swifts, how exciting. I thought I heard them before, and I thought, it's probably just a starling, because that's what my ears always think. Wow.
Good number of them here. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so we've got sand martins, swallows, house martins from time to time, and the swifts.
Amazing. I hadn't realised they were back yet. That's very exciting. What a joy. And I saw a white heron, which I couldn't tell if it was a little or a great white egret.
Oh, just here?
Yeah,
probably little
over.
egret if it was flying out of this area. So the little egret do nest in these trees with the cormorants and the herons. We get great white egret, but not breeding.
I see. And there's cormorant. I always think it's amazing. I know we're here to talk about beavers, but to see herons and cormorants in trees, I always think is really weird because it's just not where you think about as a kind of day to day. you don't expect to see them there.
Yeah, they look too heavy or something, don't they? They don't look quite right up there, but obviously that's what they do and that's what they've been doing for a long time.
Yeah.
We did consider, so they've been here a lot longer than the beavers this time around.
Yes.
As you said, they were here 900 years ago and we don't know what was going on then. But this time around, we did consider that the beavers might fell the trees that the herons breed in. So we have protected them. So we put some weld mesh around the base of the trees so that we can sustain that population.
Yeah.
Having said that, I suspect the herons would probably protect themselves. So I learned fairly recently that if herons get annoyed, if somebody or something comes near the nest, they'll vomit over the side of the nest to put off whatever's coming nearer. And it would certainly work for me, and I suspect it would work for a beaver.
Yes. That's the last thing you want, isn't it? Thinking about what they've been eating.
Absolutely.
But getting out their crop.
Yeah.
I'll be interested in that. So, yeah, have you spotted anything else? Has anything surprised you so far?
Not in this particular area, no. I think there's certainly, it's been, every time I come in here I see something new, but it's been a really sort of steady journey. I've almost forgotten what it looked like before, but if you look around everywhere you can see there's sort of these like bigger branches that are over the water's edge and have got some of the bark stripped off by the beavers. So we're probably looking at every 50 to 100 meters, I'm seeing something that looks kind of beavery.
Yeah.
So that they're certainly active all the way around the edge, which, again, when they arrived, we didn't know what they were going to do. We didn't know if they were going to stick to one particular area, but they've made the entire place their home, really. So, yeah, you can see the activity all the way around.
Yeah, because I've talked about this before, I think, but it is a much bigger space than they require in terms of, being released, isn't it, in enclosure. But I suppose that doesn't mean they're not going to spread out to fill it.
That's right, yeah. I mean, as far as we know, they're still breeding, so we might get more of them.
Yeah, that's exciting. So you might be expecting there'll probably be more kits.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, I think we'll find out. So they don't tend to come out till sort of August, September, October time.
Yeah.
So it might be a bit of time. Oh, we've got a lovely common tern here coming to say hello.
Yeah. Fantastic. And the weather is turning as well.
It is.
The turn for the turning.
And I think that might be a cue for the boat to turn back. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yes, it's a day of strong downfalls sort of blowing through, isn't it, really?
That's right.
Today. I don't mind, but it's just So, yeah, the reed, but it does look like the soft edge of a lake. I mean, I wouldn't be confident to approach any of these shorelines expecting that I'd be able to get to land.
No, it's probably some way away because of all this reed bed.
Sort of like, it's like a mangrove sort of...
Similar thing, yeah.
The willows have really sort of, because they've either fallen or they've been felled, they're still growing. So all of those kind of intricate branches are now rooted in the water and they're tangling it up.
That's it, yeah. And some of that's great. I mean, I talked earlier about felling trees next to the lake edge and getting this lovely reed bed that we're looking at now.
Yes.
But the some of this lake edge vegetation that's taller, some of the willows and the other trees, the alder and various other things that grow along the edge, it's quite nice. I mean, that, as you mentioned, those branches are sat in the water, which obviously the beavers are giving more of for us. That's really nice kind of nursery habitat for fish. It's really complex structure for invertebrates. So there'll be lots of invertebrates eating whatever's on the branches, eating each other and so on. They're feeding the fish. And so, yeah, it's really nice to have some of that around this lake. And the beavers are obviously encouraging that.
Yeah, and the fish are feeding the herons and
and the terns,
cormorants and the terns. Yeah.
That's it.
And those invertebrates are feeding the swifts, so it all goes round, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so I think the impact that the beavers are going to have on all sorts of stuff. I mean, wildflowers. So they're doing what we do when we go out and cut a traditional coppice coop in a woodland. They're opening that area up to the light. Then you get the wildflowers come in, and then you get that sort of process of succession until you get the tall trees again. So the beavers are doing that for free, and the end result in almost all circumstances is an increase in biodiversity, which is what we're here for.
Yeah, absolutely. And we are measuring that, aren't we? There's a lot of people here measuring sort of befores and afters of things.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Wildflowers, we don't do any specific surveys in here, but we're kind of keeping an eye on it. Structure, we're taking drone imagery, and we've got ways of kind of calculating the heights of vegetation and how that's changing over time with the beavers being here. And certainly the birds, we do bird surveys in here, both winter birds and also the summer breeding birds. The heronry, there's a census that happens every few years on that as well, so we sort of keep an eye on that. So there's lots of surveys going on, and one of our volunteers, who's a particularly keen birder, has recently put in some recording equipment that he can send through some clever software that tells us what birds are around as well. So he's looking at what might change over time. And one of the things that we've not seen here for a long time, or certainly not since I've been here 4 years now, is bittern. So quite a rare, elusive bird that you don't always see, and he's picked them up on this recording device.
Oh, wow.
So we might never have seen those if it wasn't for that piece of recording equipment. And we've also got the cameras as well, and they've been picked up on the cameras. So yeah, the monitoring is really important to see how the place is changing over time.
Yeah, amazing. I guess it's still a little bit early to see major changes, isn't it, in terms of anything? We're only just going into spring now, really, especially this cold weather that we've been having.
Yeah.
But yeah, do you get a sense that things are on the turn?
Absolutely. I think we're seeing, we see one particular tree that they've felled and started to munch, and then you start to see the vegetation around it growing, and we're definitely seeing that this time of year. And the fact that we're seeing it all around the reserve, we can start to extrapolate what it's going to look like in 10 years' time or 20 years' time. And yeah, I think they've really just touched the surface.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm Pete Bray. I'm the senior ranger for Nene Wetlands here. So yeah, I kind of look after a lot of the practical work with my colleague James. So we're usually out with chainsaws and fencing equipment and so on the rest of the reserve. But we look after this area too.
Yeah, quite hard to do that stuff on the edge of a lake.
Absolutely, yeah. Particularly with the flooding, we're getting more and more flooding. With climate change, certainly the last few years, we've had some really extreme floods. There's just no way we could come in and do what the beavers are doing with our chainsaws, probably at all. But even if we could, it wouldn't necessarily be safe, and it certainly wouldn't be easy.
Yeah, wonderful. And they've got all this softened. I mean, it really does look like the edge, sort of like the scrubby edge of a woodland. Don't you think? Like looking from a distance, there's the tall trees, and then there's that sort of lowering of the canopy that comes down. And I guess that's what the beavers have been busy doing, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah, that kind of if you look at a ride edge in a really well managed woodland where there's been coppicing happening on either side, you get that kind of V shape where you might have a sort of strip of dirt in the middle, where you're just getting things like brain's gone blank. Look, some of the flowers that really like that sort of really tough growing conditions, up to taller stuff that gets cut once a year, up to taller stuff that gets cut twice a year, up to the small trees and the bushes and so on. It's exactly the same here, really, with the lake edge. Yeah.
I can see a big chunk out of a big tree over there. Is that why we've stopped over here? Look, there's a huge...
Oh, just here?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is... Ben's going to take us into this area shortly. Yeah. This is where most of the activity has happened. So yeah, they've felled an ash tree there, but some of the willow along the edge here. This is grey willow, so its favourite thing to do is fall over. All they're doing is kind of helping it along, really. And behind that, they've felled some quite tall poplar as well. So we'll go and take a look at those. And just beyond that is where the main lodge is as well. So yeah.
I was going to say, yeah. Is that what this is sort of their home, really?
That's right.
And we're not going to disturb them today, are we? Because they're not going to be awake at the moment.
Not at all. No, we'll tread lightly. They could be awake. We will tread lightly, but chances are they're all asleep and they're somewhere underground. So yeah, when we go near the lodge, we're always quiet. But this time of the day, it'd be very unlikely for them to be awake anyway. What I'm going to try and do is just motor, and then when I dare, lift the engine, and we'll just kind of hit the bank. It should be fairly gentle.
That's all right. Hold ashore through the reeds.
Perfect.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
No worries.
So back on land, and it was really cool to see from the water sort of how the trees have felled in and softened the edges of the lake. But obviously the beavers have also done a lot of activity on land. So I guess we should have a little explore, and you can. I mean, we've taken about 2 steps, and I can also see there's so much activity.
You can't move for activity down here. It's absolutely everywhere. It's quite amazing.
Wow!
And it still blows me away. And yeah, it's incredible how much they've done in just over a year, I guess.
Yeah.
My name is Ben Casey. I'm the Nen Valley Projects Officer.
Also sometimes known as Beaver Ben.
Yeah, from time to time. Beaver Ben, Beaver Boy. It varies.
Depending on who's leveling it at you.
Depending on which particular hat I'm wearing on the day, I think.
Yeah. It's obviously not the only thing that you do, but it must be quite a big part of your job. Obviously the past year and longer before that in preparation and everything as well, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's quite a large proportion of the past. I've been with the trust now for 4 years, and I would say probably around about 2.5 or so has been very focused on the beavers. Definitely, none more so than when we were getting prepared for installing a fence. That was a lot of work to get that into place, and then afterwards it's just been all the fun stuff, really, to be honest. Like all of the following around, seeing what they're doing, monitoring with the cameras, doing the odd survey here and there, and just keeping an eye on things, which has just been incredible. And it's I think everyone on the team has just been absolutely blown away by how much they've done, and what we can see in front of us now.
Yeah, I mean, it is quite amazing. There's lots of wood chips, fresh looking wood chips as well, all over the floor, and lots of bark that's stripped or partly stripped from up to about a metre off the ground. Was that about right?
Yeah, just about as far as they can reach, really.
Yeah, and some trees that have been gnawed almost all the way through. Is that the tree sap? That black on there?
Yes, yeah.
So that's the tree trying to defend itself.
Probably.
or bleeding.
Yeah.
And some really large trees where the bark has been stripped almost completely around them. And some might think that would kill the trees, but I mean, they look pretty healthy to me up the top there.
They are quite resilient, yeah. And, all it takes really is a sort of a thin strip of cambium still being intact and connected to the root system for the tree to be all right. But, I mean, at the end of the day, even if we did get some standard deadwood, that's never a bad thing, really. I mean, it's fantastic habitat for all sorts of different wildlife. So, there's a real, I think the main thing here is you can see the variety. We've got small stuff, we've got big stuff. Some trees which are kind of partly felled or not completely over, and then some which have been felled for quite a while. So it's that diversity that they're giving us in spades.
Yeah, and there's some twigs that are just hardly look worth stripping of bark. They're sort of the size of the width of my pinky finger.
Yeah.
But they've still meticulously stripped all the bark off them.
We see these tiny ones just littered around occasionally, and I can only think that it's the kits. I can only it makes sense. Yeah, it makes most sense for them to for the smaller sticks to be for the smaller kits, right?
Yeah, and of course there are kits out from last year, aren't there? There are 2 kits born last year. That's right, isn't it? Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, big family now. 10 altogether.
Yes.
We brought in 8, and of the original 8, they've grown as well. So the yearlings are now sub-adults, and the kits are now yearlings.
Yes. Yeah.
So there's plenty of help for Boudica and Alan.
Yes, and plenty for them to eat though as well, isn't there?
So
that's the thing. Yeah. It is amazing. You see, like just standing here, like every single tree apart from the one that you've protected, I guess because it's got bat box on it. Is that or just because some of them need to, so you put sort of chicken wire or like the nettle around the bottom to stop them doing it.
That's it. Yeah. So there's a couple. Yeah, we've got a handful of trees just dotted around. I think in the enclosure it's somewhere around 30, 35 or something along those lines that are just, either been monitored for bat activity, bird nesting, for all sorts of different things, or potentially just to protect the fence and the path on the outside. Like you say, it's very, very simple to protect them. We've had a lot of them in place even before the beavers arrived, and we haven't had any issues with those trees so far. So again, it's really good proof of concept of how, if, as and when beavers get into the catchment, potentially out in the wild, protecting trees is really a straightforward thing.
Yes, yeah.
And very cheap as well.
Yes, yeah, true. Yeah, that doesn't look very expensive, even if you chop a B&Q, which, so there's so much. And almost every other tree is stripped up to about a metre. And some of these trees are like a metre diameter, really, or more, aren't they? So,
Do you want to have a look at the big one?
yes. Yeah, clambering over all these. I tell you what, as well, all this wood chip on the floor is like a natural mulching as well. I mean, this is what you put down in your garden, isn't it?
There's been. I tell you what, it's interesting. We say to visitors, you can take one souvenir with you, and some take bark strips, sticks, and some take a handful of chips. And there's some areas which are noticeably less chips.
Yeah.
Because the visitors are taking pocketfuls with them away. But it's a really nice thing for people to take home. And, I've had lots of conversations with lots of people who, it's one of their most prized possessions at this point in time. So it's a piece of, fantastic natural history.
Yeah. And we were talking earlier that's one of the main things that you've taken from this year is like the people engagement has just been through the roof, hasn't it?
I think so, yeah. Coming into this, as I mentioned, my focus, for me personally at least, my focus was massively on the fencing, getting the beavers in and making sure that things were ready and really looking forward to the work that they were going to do and what we can see in front of us now, this incredibly impressive tree that they've managed to fell, which is a story in itself. But so that's kind of one side of the story in terms of the amount of good conservation work that they're doing and how that's developed. But I've just been really taken aback. I didn't think really too much at all about the engagement side of things. I knew that there would be some, but it's not really in my job description to begin with, and it's kind of become part of my job description, if you know what I mean. It's it's a huge part of what I do now, and not just me, but the entire team has become involved in public walks, doing talks, going out into the wider area, community halls and schools and things like that, talking to people about the beavers and the story and why they're so important. And it's been amazing. Yeah, absolutely fantastic to speak to people about a topic which I think everyone is innately interested in. And then, it's almost like a gateway to talking about the wider work of the trust and everything else that they do.
Yeah.
But the passion and the enthusiasm from the general public has been really, really overwhelming. And we've had people coming in for walking tours and actually leave quite emotional at times because they're just that overwhelmed by what they're doing. So it's been a really, really amazing part of it.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And and so we're looking at a big part of what they do here, which is a very tall tree. I always feel like you don't really get a sense of how tall a tree is until it's lying on the ground.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
It's huge.
It's massive, isn't it? Yeah.
And it's completely felled. Amazing. I mean, it looks like they've chewed a sort of a portion of it, and then the wind, do you think, took it over?
That's exactly what happened. Yeah. So this tree in particular, this came down around about October last year, 2025. And up until that point, I mentioned about sort of chasing them around with my camera. We've got these trail cams and we put them up in sort of areas of activity where we either think that they might be or we've seen evidence of. And constantly we were putting cameras out and then they'd just go to somewhere else and they were just doing a run. It's a proper Tom and Jerry situation, like just running after them, these cameras. And eventually, they set up shop really, in this sort of southern section of Delta, where they've got a lodge nearby, and they became comfortable. And sort of around about autumn time, things started ramping up as they prepared for winter. So we were able to spot this really quickly. We got a camera on it immediately, and we followed the whole process. So we've got loads of really nice footage of them sort of chipping away, doing their thing. It took them about a month or so to get it to the stage that it is now. And then they were just waiting for a windy day.
Yeah. Do you think they were waiting as well? Because they could push it, couldn't they? I mean, they're big enough creatures. I feel like you've sort of, I get a sense that if they stood up and sort of put their paws in it, they might be able to push it.
I think, it's definitely part of the process, waiting for the wind. Because especially with the large ones as well. I think with, some of the smaller diameter trees that we've seen, like you say, they are quite strong. And especially if they're getting it down to within a couple of centimeters of material, then it's going to go anyway, especially if it's got a bit of the lean on it. But with this, they want to make sure that they know where to be seen when it goes down, because it is so large.
Yeah, 'cause I guess there's other trees around it as well, so there's no predicting where it's going to bounce off and be shoved over. So even if it falls in one direction, you don't know how it's going to.
But it's incredible. It's interesting to say about the other trees because they found the gap.
Yeah, that's true.
It's absolutely bob on. And we were looking at it, as they were developing it. And a couple of my colleagues who do a fair amount of chainsaw and will probably say, I'd put it down there. And they have them.
And they have, yeah. That's amazing.
It's quite incredible, yeah.
Yeah, and now it's on the ground. I mean, there's a lot of nettle and kind of green growth around it, but they've completely stripped the bark, haven't they? I mean, it's completely severed from the bottom, and it's white.
Yeah,
bark free.
All the cambium's gone. They've taken what they need from it, and all that's left to do is see when the regeneration happens. Really, to be honest.
Or from the stump, you think?
Yeah, I think it's interesting to see whether it'll happen with this particular one. But what we've seen in the past couple of months, that's now that spring has come, is that aspect of regeneration, which is always, the walking tours and things that we've done. Is that was always the missing part because we hadn't got to a stage yet where time had allowed for it to happen.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm really looking forward to this year because it's kind of like we've been talking about it for ages. This is what we're after, and now it's here. And you can see it, and you can point it out and see the evidence of essentially beaver farming, beaver carpets here.
Yeah, because I think and people are genuinely concerned when trees get chopped down by humans or by any kind of management or. And I think it is really powerful to see that actually it takes a lot more than that to kill a tree.
Yeah.
That's not to say that they should be chopped down all the time, but as part of a kind of management plan, often what we're doing is emulating what creatures like the beavers would have been doing anyway, isn't it?
That's it. It's the missing piece of the puzzle, really. These keystone species that just aren't within our ecosystems anymore. And that's the reason why we're out with the chainsaws and the brush cutters, because we don't have those species to fill that niche, fill that gap, I should say.
Yes.
In terms, yes, yeah.
I'm probably not getting any straight-tusked elephants back anytime soon.
Well,
but
we'll see.
But the beavers are,
We're not quite Jurassic Park yet.
Not quite, no.
But the beavers do such a good job, and it's not just the trees, it's it's the canals that they're digging. That was absolutely mind blown when we found those over. It's around about May, June last year. That was probably the highlight of the year, personally.
Yeah. So what were those? Can you explain what you mean by canals? Because when I think of canals, I think of human dug, very square, bricked on the sides.
Yeah.
That's not what they're building.
It's essentially they're creating it's like a wet road network for themselves. So they want to make their lives easier. The central foragers, they use the same routes consistently, same trails on land, and ideally they would be in the water because that's where they're happiest, right? So essentially what they do is dig out a road for themselves, which then naturally fills with water. So they've got access to point A, point B, and everything in between, basically. It makes it easier for them to get around themselves, but then it makes it easier for them to transport material too. Because then if you get it out to the water, then they're using the natural buoyancy of the material to help them out. So it just makes total sense from their perspective.
Yeah.
But what it's giving is a very particular type of habitat which we just wouldn't be able to emulate because they're essentially putting water where there wasn't water before. The amount of digging is extensive. I mean, we've measured just vaguely on GIS somewhere around about 100 meters or so of canals that they've cumulatively created.
GIS is mapping software.
The mapping software that we use. Around about 100 meters, that's just a vague estimate. There's probably loads that we don't know about at this point in time. There's certainly more that's happened in the past couple of months since I did that on the northern edge when the water fluctuates and things, and they've created new things.
Yeah. So they're creating these through is it through the reed beds? So where the land is sort of soggy but not necessarily wet. Is that right?
It's kind of now it's all over. The first ones that we found were in this what we call the inlet area in the southeast corner, which is over in where I'm pointing now.
Where you're pointing now, podcasters,
over in that direction.
Yes.
And essentially what we found was that area was historically cleared around about 10 years ago or something like that to allow the reed bed to regenerate, because this is as you were saying, the constant battle that we're against. If we want to have the reed bed as a habitat, then we need to manage the willow. And actually doing that in a reed bed is really tricky, especially with how things have been with the weather, climate pressures the past few years. We're getting so much more flooding. It's worse than it's ever been, and it's more frequent than it's ever been. So actually the management window for an area like that is really narrow. The beavers come in and start recoppicing those trees. And in order to make their lives a bit easier, to get that material out, to build the lodge that we're probably going to have a look at.
Yeah, I'm excited to look at the lodge, yeah.
They need to make life a bit more straightforward for themselves, so they dig the canals. And so that's where we found them first. And it was kind of like, the way I describe it is kind of like the Trevi Fountain kind of moment, where you're in the thick of it, you've seen the day-to-day, nice lovely road, but it's just a normal street, and you turn a corner and it's like, oh my life, like, was this beautiful thing. And it was exactly the same. We just turned a corner one day, it was that. And they've done it in a very short space of time. It's incredible.
That's amazing. And what are those canals good for then? I suppose they're creating sort of pooled water, which is good for other creatures to use. I mean, is that
really good for inverts? Yeah, aquatic inverts. There's there's a very specific depth to it. They're adding material all the time. As that the woody material starts to break down, it gives those aquatic invertebrates a bit of extra boost. So we've started to. I mean, I have absolutely no memory of the taxonomic names of these particular species, but there's a couple of species which we found specifically in the canals for aquatic invertebrates. That's are definitely a first for the site. There's maybe been only one other that's been seen in the entirety of Northamptonshire.
Wow.
And that was just last year. So
amazing.
It's definitely moved in the right direction, and just a incredible thing to see.
Yeah, fantastic, isn't it? And really interesting for other people to see. Speaking of which, I'd quite like to see this lodge, please. I've heard tell of it.
Absolutely, sure.
So I remember, because I think we spoke just after the initial release, and you were having quite a lot of difficulty trying to find where the lodges were for a while.
But that was. I mean, this is exactly the reason why we were struggling to find it, actually, because it's, as you can see, it's not on the edge of the lake, which is where we were looking.
Yes, suppose you would expect it to be right there, wouldn't you, with a kind of watery entrance?
That's it. Yeah, we know now that this was the first one that we found. Right. So there's 3 lodges in total, and the other 2 are right on the lake edge, as you would expect. But this one is a little bit more special. So what they found was a gigantic fallen willow that's just been felled by the wind. Yeah. And it offers so much in terms of resources. This was last year. It was very fresh. As you can see, they've been all the way up along the stem, nibbling away. It's all the different bits and pieces. So they've got everything they need in this area, as well as a lot of protection. So they're very, very keen, obviously, of setting up their home in this area. But it's about 20 meters away from the water. Yeah. So they bring the water to them by digging the canals.
Right. So they actually bring the water all the way to this far in. So
we can have a look at it.
Yeah, that's amazing. Gosh, I didn't realise it was so close when we were talking before, actually. Wow, look at that.
So essentially what we're looking at is a very, very large beaver lodge. It's about 6 meters or so, I would say, is where the entrance is, which is on the opposite side of the tree there. Yeah. This down here actually is what we expect them to be their emergency exit.
I see.
Because we very rarely actually see them on the camera that we got set up.
Yeah, there's a camera screwed into a fallen tree here that's pointed right at that canal. Yeah.
But the canal itself is really nicely filled with water. It dried out last year, and that's one of the reasons why they ended up building separate lodges, because we had such a dry summer.
Right.
The canal dried out as well, and they need that instant access to water to feel safe.
Yeah.
So over the winter we had some more flooding. The canals filled up. They've continued the excavation, and we think at the moment there will be beavers in here. Hence keeping the voices down, because all of this mud packing that you can see on the outside is all very, very fresh. That's happened within the past month or so.
Yeah, it's very wet even now, isn't it? Yeah. And it's amazing. Just to explain what we're seeing, it's kind of like someone's built a den, like a child building a den from wood, but then someone else has come along and packed all of the gaps with fresh, wet mud and wood chippings, I think I can see in there as well, or straw, kind of vegetative material to kind of hold it together like wattle and daub.
That's it. Yeah. That's exactly what it's like. It's all added protection, all added insulation for them. And what I expect, I mean, we won't find out until August, September time. But again, last year it was difficult. It's difficult to tell. But I think probably what happened was Boudica had the kits in this lodge. And I think what's happened now, because there was fresh evidence a couple of months ago on the Eastern Lodge, I think it's around about now that Boudica would be pregnant.
Yeah.
Moved in here, made it nice and homely, warm, protected. And this is where they'll have like the natal chamber. And it's the new kits might come. We don't know whether she's pregnant at the moment, and that could all just be speculation. But
and it's impossible to know until they actually emerge, isn't it? And remember, they stay pretty safe and cozy, don't they, for a while, I guess. So do they separate out then? Does the family go into different lodges when there are sort of tiny kits around?
They can do, yeah. That's what we saw last year. The family was split between the Eastern Lodge and the one on the northern edge. We couldn't really tell which individuals were in which or how the family was split, but yeah, that's what we observed last year at least. So I guess it makes sense to think that they're going to do the same thing again because it works.
Yeah, I mean, it is quite extraordinary to see this big mare. I mean, like you say, quite far from. I can just see the lake through the kind of tree line over that way, but to think that they've brought the water tubing here, I mean, that is quite amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just amazing. And it looks so deep. It's not just a little bit of water, is it? It's like you say, it's a canal. It's got sides. And it's...
Yeah, it's a real excavation. And, we keep using this term ecosystem engineers, and you look at that and you think it's even width, even depth.
Yeah.
They've put so much time and energy into it. And it's, to dig that out with a spade, it'd take good old long time.
And you'd have to keep doing it as well, because it doesn't want to stay there itself, does it? It wants to fill up with sediment and...
Exactly.
And also I'm looking at that and thinking, I bet our water rolls would love that.
Oh yeah, perfect.
It's like for other animals as well.
No, definitely, yeah.
When you've got beavers in an environment, they're creating spaces for themselves. But that is amazing. I just can't believe how big it is. It's so big, isn't it?
It's I mean, they do vary in size quite a lot. But what I usually try and point out is the fact that the entrance is on the opposite side of that tree. So the burrowing underneath is probably twice the size of what we can see on top, really.
In terms of how big the actual chamber is, I suppose it's a bit hard to know because you don't know how thick the walls are. But so I guess they're sort of digging animals as much as they are swimming animals. They must do a lot of excavation.
Definitely, yeah, they do a bit of both.
Yeah. Amazing. That's so cool. It's really cool.
I think another thing as well, which, I've sort of started to pick up a little bit more in terms of visiting other places, is how special Delta Pits is, just in terms of public accessibility as well. Yes. I mean, we talk about Rushton Lakes being on the doorstep and the millions of visitors that visit or pass by every year, but to actually have access to this amount of beaver activity and be able to come on a public walk is, I think, really, really special. Yeah,
absolutely. And we do, the Trust runs quite as many walks as we can, basically, don't we? But they always sell out. So it is difficult to get a spot on them sometimes, but it's worth checking the website. And I believe they're not going on right now because of the heronry. Is that right? Starting again soon.
Yeah, they are starting again soon, actually. So yes, around about, I think it's June time.
Yeah.
We'll be starting back up on it.
Yes.
And the plan is to run them all the way through into the winter. And the timings will vary because we want to make sure that best time to see the beavers is going to be sunset. So we want to make sure that people get a chance to actually see them.
Yeah.
And we'll be doing as many as we can.
Yeah, it's difficult to do as many as is needed because they really do. They're very popular. But yeah, it's definitely worth doing if you're listening, because it's quite an experience, isn't it? Just to see just the amount of stuff that they've been doing and the difference that it makes. I mean, now that it is spring and things are starting to green up, I think that is an extraordinary thing to start
Absolutely.
seeing the difference it's going to make. Is there anything else that surprised you about what they've done in the past year?
The decision-making process was very confusing at times. I think, kind of getting your head around why have you started that tree and then left it for ages, and why have you gone for that particular branch when this one looks very much more straightforward to know. As someone who, as I say, has been following around with cameras trying to get footage and things like that, has been a bit of a head scratcher. But I kind of embraced it after a while. It's just that absolute random, not entirely random, but that sort of randomness that comes from that kind of decision making is exactly what we're missing, really.
Yes.
And gives that diversity that we're after.
Yeah.
Quite a lot of those kind of situations where we're just kind of like, why have they done that?
Yeah.
Cropping up here and there. But I think the main takeaway is just we kind of knew to a degree what they would do. We just had no idea it would be this much. And I had no real sort of like way to quantify that. But I guess this is the benchmark.
Yeah.
It's pretty impressive.
Yeah. And what do you hope to see in the next year? Is there anything you're sort of waiting for them to do, or kind of outcomes of things that you're looking forward to seeing?
I think I'd love to see the canals develop, and talking about that area of the reed bed in the southeast inlets that we've had some amazing drone shots of, seeing the kind of, it's almost the kind of like a from the aerial view, it's like roots sort of growing through and in this kind of meandering way. I'd love to see that develop into something very complex, which it does have the potential to, and all of the interesting stuff on the northern edge, which is a story in itself. With the fluctuating levels of the water, floodwaters coming in over from the Nene and then getting locked in, and then them changing their territory because of that and accessing different areas of the enclosure. I think, work over there developing as wintertime comes and more water comes, and maybe we'll end up with a few ponds and maybe a few more canals and things like that. So, anything between that, that's I'd love to see. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's up to them. They make the decisions, and we'll see what happens.
Can't make a beaver do anything.
You can't.
They'll do what they'll do.
It's very confusing sometimes, but let's crack on.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for your time and for showing me the lodge. That is amazing, and it's just brilliant to be out on the water as well and to see the kind of the way that they've engineered the lake to their liking, and also engineered the land to be more like the lake to their liking.
That's it. Yeah. Just trying to make it a bit at home.
Yeah, it's amazing. So thank you very much.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you so much to Pete and Ben for their time and for a privileged personal tour of the beaver enclosure from land and water. If you haven't yet listened to the podcast episode recorded at the release of the Beaver family last year, I highly encourage you to do so. It really gives a sense of the anticipation and excitement from a wider community of people who've been involved in the project, most of whom are still involved and just as excited to see the developments on site. For more information about the beavers, including trail cam footage and blog post updates, and to find out more about upcoming guided beaver tours, head over to our website at wildlifebcn.org/podcast, where there's a blog post all about this episode and plenty of onward links to explore. Huge additional thanks to my colleague Holly Wilkinson for her help with the recording of this episode, and to James Williams and Jared Wentwick for the podcast music. And to you for listening all the way to the end. You are treasured. Thank you. Cheerio!